Today in Oregon News, how the return of one fish could bring a wave of success to local businesses. Her son is constantly getting bullied in school. Hear what one frustrated mom has to say. And a waffle for your thoughts? Find out what you need to give to get this treat.
Live from the University of Oregon, this is Oregon News with Aimee Burnett, Grace Neal, Elliot Nathan, and Nora Dutton.
Good afternoon and welcome to Oregon News. I'm Aimee Burnett.
And I'm Grace Neal. We begin with our top stories. After serving almost a year in Kuwait and Iraq, more than 400 Oregon Army National Guard soldiers are reuniting with their families today at the Lane Event Center. A ceremony will be led by Governor Ted Kalingoski at 1:30 and is open to the public.
America's first hockey mom is in town. Sarah Palin arrived in Eugene earlier today. She will be speaking at a Lane County Republican event tonight. Supporters paid up to $1,000 a seat to see the former Alaska governor and vice presidential candidate speak. The event is sold out. Get ready for a new set of Benjamins. The Department of Treasury unveiled the new $100 bill Wednesday. The bill will still feature the portrait of Benjamin Franklin, but offers a few design changes. It will also have advanced security features such as a 3D ribbon that changes images when moved. It will enter circulation in February of next year.
Just weeks after President LaRiviere promised more business transparency at the University of Oregon, it seems some changes are already happening. The president's office issued a press release saying U of O's general counsel Melinda Greer is being reassigned. Greer has been under fire since the announcement of a $2.3 million buyout for athletic director Mike Bellotti. Bellotti held the position of AD for less than a year and never had a formal contract. However, in an email to the Oregonian yesterday, Greer said that it was not her role to negotiate the terms of Bellotti's athletic director contract. Greer was appointed U of O's general counsel in 1998. She will serve as an instructor in the law school until the end of her contract in June of 2011. According to the press release, her contract will not be renewed.
After 3 long years, the fishing season is finally open again for coho and Chinook salmon. The Pacific Fishery Management Council approved the coastal season last week. Oregon News reporter Abby Silverman reports the decision has hooked the local fish industry.
Difficult. Oregonians are pretty particular about their fish, and by far and away they want Oregon Chinook salmon. So it's going to be a real blessing for us this year to be able to get it again.
Ryan Rogers is the owner of Eugene Fisherman's Market. He expects the opening of coastal Chinook and coho salmon fishing will bring him some good news.
Since '07, our salmon sales haven't been what they used to be at all. If the numbers are good and prices are reasonable, then I would anticipate our sales will be up quite a bit.
Sales are not the only way that Eugene fishermen are benefiting from the opening of coastal salmon fishing. John Payne works as a river fishing guide, and he anticipates that this opening will benefit his company greatly as well.
What happens is articles will come out in the paper citing the decline of salmon runs, and my clients who travel from Southern California read these articles and think that all the salmon are gone in all the rivers. When an article comes out that the salmon season is now going to be open for the first time in 3 years, I get phone calls, hey, we want to come fish again. My calendar's full. I have no open days between May and the end of June.
Whether it's increase of coho and Chinook sales at Eugene Fisherman's Market, or a frenzy of guided fishing tours on the McKenzie River, the opening of salmon fishing on the Oregon coast is sure to make the Eugene economy start to head upstream. Abby Silverman, reporting for Oregon News.
The spring salmon fishing season begins in May. Fishermen will be showing up on the Oregon coast in hopes that the salmon will show up too.
Speaking of high hopes, there were great expectations when the Short Mountain Power Plant opened decades ago. Unfortunately, the plant didn't quite live up to them. But the Emerald Peoples Utility District doesn't think residents should lose hope. Alexa 2 takes a closer look at the controversy surrounding the plant.
After a recently published article, questions are being raised about the Short Mountain Plan, signed in 1986 by Lane County and the Emerald Peoples Utility District, also known as EPUD. Projections made in the early 90s for the plant's output are significantly higher than the current outputs. Plant operator Doug Hoover agrees that Short Mountain does not have the amount of generators expected, but says that this isn't necessarily a bad thing.
The heavy recycling in this community has put us in a position we're not at 7 units, we're at 4 units.
Recycling takes away a lot of the resources for the power plant because plastics create more methane vapors than other trash. Methane is usually burned away in a process called flaring, but at the Short Mountain landfill, it is captured and used to create electricity. While the numbers may not match the predictions, Hoover says that current outputs are very stable and are producing profit.
If we're not operating in the red, we do well out here, so we're going to continue to do this as long as we can.
Reporting for Oregon News, I'm Alexa Tew.
While many local businesses struggle with the current economic crisis, producers of organic food have even more to worry about. Veronica Budak reports the weather has also become a concern.
It finally starts to feel a lot like spring. Trees and flowers are blooming as the landscape gets greener and greener. Oregon farmers do not ignore the biggest threat to their crops: cold, rainy weather over winter.
It was a pretty hard winter. There was a freeze really early that was very hard. A lot of the plants handle it fine, but there's a lot of things that don't like to get damaged by a really hard frost early and then sit all winter long.
Winter didn't spare the so-called U-Pick farms, a source of fresh produce for those willing to pick it up on their own.
I think more people are trying to find local sources of cheap food, and picking your own food can definitely help you save.
These farms also largely contribute to the county's agricultural success.
We have about $86 million in agriculture. With what's called vegetable crops, we grow about $16 million just in Lane County.
Farmers are not worried about local plants like apple and cherry trees. They're used to the weather. But they warn that more delicate and sensitive fruit like pears and plums might be less plentiful this summer. These include the world-famous Oregon blueberries.
That hard freeze that we had here that just stayed and stayed and stayed, and so we were afraid that would kill off all the new growth.
While the farmers stay hopeful, they admit we won't know what the crops look like until June. Reporting from Eugene, I'm Veronica Budak.
When Oregon News returns, a new report about tasers is out, and the results may shock you.
And also, what is the trendiest commodity among local thieves? You'll be surprised. Find out when we come back.